Welcome, I'm Darren, and I'll be your guide today as I look at 1995 Fleer Ultra baseball cards. And this is part one of a three-part series because in 1996, when Fleer made their 96 Ultra, they made a variation on the 95 set. Not just the main cards in the main set and the parallel, but a lot of the inserts as well. And so I need to be able to look at the parallels of, well, the sets and the parallels of both 95 and 96 in a compare-contrast fashion. And originally I was going to do that all in this video, talk about 95 and then 96 and then compare and contrast, but that's going to be a long video. So instead I'm going to break it into three. So I'm going to talk about 95 here, then I'm going to talk about 96 separately, then I'm going to do a follow-up to that where I actually break down the differences between 95 and 96 so that you can keep track, because sometimes it gets really confusing. So that's the plan I have moving forward, but right now we're going to be looking just at 95 Ultra. And 95 Ultra is the next step in the progression that the Ultra had been going through, where in 1991 Fleer made Ultra to be a high-end card to compete head-to-head with Upper Deck, and they did not succeed, and so they were constantly trying to evolve the card to be, if not at, then even beyond Upper Deck. And for a while they were doing a pretty good job until they hit the train wreck of 1994, where everybody made the same card, and all of a sudden, with cards like Select, Pinnacle, Bowman, they all looked the same. Upper Deck looked the same, Ultra looked the same, everything looked the same. Why do you choose one versus another? And it was a muddled mess. So in 1995, everybody had to kind of define what their brand was and why their brand was distinct and how to chase it. And Upper Deck had already started doing parallels by 1994, so that meant that everybody else had to be thinking of some component to make theirs more interesting, because Upper Deck succeeded in maintaining the premium brand. They were the premium brand, whereas Pinnacle, Select, Ultra, these were all secondary brands. We knew them as that, and they didn't have their own character. So that meant that if Ultra was going to succeed, they had to find something that made them distinct so that people would look at them and want to chase them. And because Upper Deck was already doing parallels, you had to be doing parallels. And Ultra was built for parallels. They weren't built around parallels, but they were built for parallels. That was in their mind. So the 95 design is a variation of the 94 design, where they went with a full bleed card, which 94 had been close, but in 95 they got rid of all of the borders, so the image runs off all the sides, which makes it entirely reliant on good images, which they tried. But they did have a foil element down at the bottom. There was a free-floating box with an interesting contrast of a subtractive and an additive box for the text of the player name, and then a very intricate foil detail of the logo of the team. And then up in the top corner, there's a gold foil Ultra logo. That's the design of the card. But only the Ultra logo is gold foil. The one down at the bottom is a team color foil, and it's kind of a pastel effect. That's kind of the color of the foil that they chose. But it is an interesting move that they made for all of these cards. And because the parallel is so integral to the card experience, the only difference that the parallel has is that they replaced the gold foil logo that says Ultra with a gold medallion that says Ultra, and the parallel is called Gold Medallion. That's pretty basic. I'm sure that somebody got a promotion for coming up with that brilliant idea, but that's the only change to the card. Nothing else is different. So only the parallels have that medallion logo, and then the rest of them don't. It's a pretty elegant approach to take. It works well enough, and since these were one per pack, they were fun to chase. That was the model they went with. But getting back to the card back has a team color for the background, or the whole image has that tint to it, and then it is about the most unreadable card you can imagine. First off, the bio information is in silver foil for some weird reason. I mean, talk about, if you find the silver foil on an image like this, that's what a legal document is going to have for the fine print, so that you literally can't read it. It's on there, it says it, good luck. And then they also have some text that for stats that just kind of blends in with part of the image. It doesn't work well. And then the rest of the foil on the card is that same team color, which it's a weird move that they made. I mean, it really is weird that they have that color. I'm sure that it was a great idea when they came up with it, but the problem is on the front, you can kind of read it. On the back, you can't. And so this is a card back that is not designed to be read, period. It's not. If anybody thought that, they must have been drunk. But about that foil, every team has 2 different colors of foil. There are a couple of teams that got a third foil color that would show up like in Series 2. But the cards for each team come in either one foil color or the other. So every team has 2 or, again, 3 different colors, but they don't differentiate Series 1 from Series 2. So for all the players of each team, some of the players have one color and some of them have another, and it's kind of a haphazard mess, which means none of these cards really stand out team-wise. As you go through, once you get from one team to another, you don't really notice the transition because all of those foils are still changing as you're going through exploring the team. Doesn't really work. And on the card back, the 2 different color foils also correspond to different colors on the card back as well. But at least every single team does have their pair or trio of colors. So one team has one pair of colors, another team has another distinct pair, another has another distinct pair, and in every single case, with every single one of these, the colors are aligned with the team in some fashion. So it's an elegant approach they took. I love the idea, and I think that it would have succeeded if they'd chosen, 1, a better foil color, and 2, done one color in Series 1 and done another color in Series 2. That would have helped a lot. Regardless, that's the way they built the set. A couple of checklists at the end and no subsets. So it was very basic, and this was all about chasing the gold medallion parallels. And the inserts. This is Fleer, and so here we are in the mid-90s. Of course, it's going to be flooded with inserts, and boy, oh boy, was it. The first insert, and also, by the way, all of these inserts do come, well, all of the inserts except for one do come with the gold medallion parallel as well. And we start off with the All Rookies. And the All Rookies is the perfect place to start for 2 reasons. 1, this is a train wreck of a card. This is a perfect example of how Fleer came up with a bunch of great ideas and some lousy ideas and went with all of them. They wanted to flood their packs with inserts so that you were constantly getting inserts and you were always chasing all of these different insert sets, which is cool. But a lot of the insert sets that you were chasing to complete the insert sets, not because there was anything good about the cards. And in the case of the All-Rookie team, oh boy, is this a great example. The card is way too busy. They have a shot of the players somewhere in the middle. Good luck if you can find it. A true Where's Waldo card if I ever saw one. And then they have pieces of the image that are blown up all around with some stuff in there. And as if that wasn't bad enough, they have silver foil, which on this card disappears. Completely disappears. I'm not sure if you're able to even see the silver foil in this card. So anyway, that's the way they designed the card. But remember, I said that all of these cards have the gold medallion parallel. And this one's no different. It does have a gold medallion parallel, which you might be noticing is silver. And that's what's weird, is that even the cards that have silver foil, the gold medallion is a silver medallion, but it's called gold medallion. So officially, all the parallels are gold medallion, even if they're printed in silver. Just keep that in mind, just so that you understand. So yeah, that's the All-Rookie team. The All-Star cards, however, are a lot better. In the case of the All-Star cards, this is one of those conflicting cases where it's a card design that can work. And I would advise looking at these cards on an individual basis, because if you put them in pages, they run together. The big team color that takes up half of the card is too dominant. But if you look at it on an individual basis, it actually does work pretty well. So for like a player collector, this card will actually work well enough. It's not, you really have to spend time with it. That's kind of the way that it works. And so this is one where somebody came up with it and it got the pass because only one card was being shown. You get a couple of these and they all run together and it doesn't quite work. And then for award winners, okay, this card actually does work. This is a card that actually comes through as not a great design, not at all. But it's a much better design because they have horizontality on the card, which can be a big help. And they use the real estate perfectly, primarily with these 2 bands, top and bottom. And on an individual basis, they work decently. But you put these into card pages and they run card to card to card, all of a sudden the players start to pop out and you're able to really see them. But even on an individual basis, the card still works pretty well. You're able to read the player. But they also have the background shot of the player that's kind of warped, and that's a really big success as well, because it means that that second image, you're aware of it, but you don't pay attention to it. So it's like background stuff, but it works as a good counterpoint to make the whole card feel complete, even though you're focusing on the portrait of the player. So this is a case where, hey, success. They actually were thinking well enough and they made a card that did succeed. Now, I mentioned about the cards all having parallels except potentially for one, and the one that doesn't have a parallel is the Gold Medallion Rookies, which, as the name implies, all of these cards have the Gold Medallion. But the reason that this doesn't have a parallel is because it's not an insert. This was a wrapper redemption, so it's a set of just rookies. All of these cards look like they are parallel to regular cards, but these are the regular cards with the Gold Medallion. That's just the way that they are. So only in the case of these cards, there is a single version. Everything else is paired up. Starting with Golden Prospects. And Golden Prospects is a card that it is, again, this is one where they put something together and just kind of went with it. I almost like the card because the player does come out really well and the background behind the player looks pretty good. I like the horizontality of it. The gold foil reads well. It's just that in this case, unlike the warped picture on the award winners, in this case, the pictures fight and they take over the card, and that makes the card a big busy mess. So yeah, this one did not get pulled off, but you know, these cards, these inserts were coming up so fast that the point wasn't to focus on the cards, it was to collect all the sets. And this is a golden example of it, even though these were actually kind of hard to get. Now the Hitting Machines card, this is right for all the wrong reasons, or it's wrong for all the right reasons, or something like that, where this is a really good card. It's not a good card in card pages because there are only 10 cards in the set, and so that strong color in the background, the team color, does not line up with multiple examples for each team, so it's too haphazard in binders. On an individual basis, it looks really cool because it's the text and it's the red, and there's a player in the middle of it, but you don't care. The player's not a part of the card, and that's the whole point of why I say this is a mixed bag. I think the card works really well. It just doesn't work well as a showcase of the player because the player is not at all showcased. So they tried it, they did it, and it is, again, I think it's actually one of the better cards in the set, even though it's not successful at what it's supposed to do, but it does something. Now the Home Run Kings set, this is the first card set where they actually sat down and designed a really refined, nice looking card. It has all this fine gold detail in it, gold foil detail, that gives you this richness, but it also pulls your eye down to a more finite level of paying attention to the card. And the 3 color boxes make a really nice counterpoint to the player, to the point where the whole card, on an individual basis, reads as a nice card. It's not a great card, but it is a nice card that they did. You can tell that they really took their time with it, and you can appreciate it. You put it in the binder, they all run together, but on an individual basis, I think it is a successful card. Now, League Leaders. This is a card that I love. The card is horizontal. It has a really good team color in the back, but this is not team color for the actual team he played on. Rather, it is the NL versus the AL. That's what this card set is built around. And the dark color that they have, or the strong color that they have in the background, works well primarily because it's also a matte finish. In fact, it's almost plastic in a way. But because it's a matte finish, it's strong, but it's subdued at the same time. The player is glossy, so he comes out a little bit stronger, and the silver foil just rich. It really comes through to where this is a perfectly balanced card. It does all the things you want to do. It has some interest. It's the only case they have a matte finish in this set, and so that makes the card work better. But the big thing is whenever you come across the card, because of that matte finish, it always grabs you in a subtle way. It's not the kind of thing that's going to pop your eyes open, but it's going to be well worth checking it out. And the difference between the NL cards and the AL cards is a really nice combination to where the card set has some interest to where you really do feel the difference between the two leagues. So, yeah, pretty successful card. Now, on base, the on base leaders cards, I think, are also a really successful card. In this case, because it's fun and playful. This has more of an early Ultra insert quality to it. The color fade is a big part of it, and while it is kind of weird to see Barry Bonds raining from the sky, the whole way that this card design, it works in a way that is both playful and elegant at the same time. I don't know how they pulled it off, but I think it's a great card. I love the way that it comes across, and whenever I go through and run into this card, I always go, oh yeah, these are cool. That's just my natural response. But if you want a really impressive card, you go with Power Plus. And Power Plus, I mean, it's etched foil, which right off the gate, it really sets up a great opportunity. But Fleer did have a tendency from time to time to drop the ball with these etched foil cards. And this is one of the cases where they absolutely nailed it. I think it's one of the best that they did. In this case, it's very basic. It's a bunch of lines of text. That's it. But the way that it plays with the different contrasts, the different colors, the way all that comes together, it makes it an extremely successful card. This is a fun card to check out. You move it around, just seeing the way that the text works, the way that the light shines in different ways, it's just a blast. This is etched foil really at its best. They don't need a great card design. They have it so simple that they did the simplicity well enough that it works as well as just about any of the intricate etched metal cards that were created. Big success. And then they have RBI Kings. And with RBI Kings, this is another difficult card to get. This is just a straightforward, nice card. That's all they wanted to do. It's kind of a break from all the chaos that was going on. They have a simple color, they have some gold foil in there, that's about all they need to do. And it gives you this feeling like, oh, this is a card they took time with. This is a card that's special. And that's one of the things that Fleer didn't do very often. And so here in this case, they actually did. But enough about nice cards. Let's get back to shiny, flashy things with the Rising Stars. And here we get back to the brushed metal. And this is brushed metal this is kind of a mixed bag because it has all the vibrance, the brightness. It's an explosion actually an explosion. It's too playful. It's designed for kids, which is perfectly fine because I look at it and the 11-year-old in me looks and goes, that is cool. Now, it's not a card I'm going to explore. That's the Power Plus cards. I'm going to explore those. In this case, it's very basic, very simple. It's just here, it's, what else do you expect? But, what else do you need? That's all it needs to be. It is a card that gets boring pretty fast, but when it does catch you, it's pretty cool. They also did second-year standouts again, which was a mainstay. They like to do that. And in this case, this is an extraordinarily bold card, but it looks great. It's one of those cards where it could easily be overpowering, but it has the right balance to where it's really cool looking. And there's no card that stands out more than this. I mean, this one really grabs you, pulls you in, but it does such a great job of framing and really enunciating the star. So the whole card reads beautifully, but it's the most unique card because of the fact that it's actually embossed. The gold foil down at the bottom is embossed, and it makes the card just seem so special. So it's a whole combination of qualities that just make this card so cool that every time I run into it, I love it. And then they end it with the Strikeout Leaders. And Strikeout Leaders is a card that I would advise taking some time to appreciate. Now, this is not a card to go out and check out because it's not an expensive card, it's not a really challenging card, and it's not, at the end of the day, it's not a great card. This is a card that runs together, you're going to overlook it, but if you're already collecting 95 Ultra, take the time to appreciate this card because it actually is a really nice card. It's kind of surprising, but at the end of the day, I think it really does carry as one of the better cards of this entire set if you take the time to appreciate it. But of course, it's going to be based upon a player that you care about in all likelihood, but regardless, definitely, if you are checking out these cards, this is a card, take the time because you may really enjoy it. And that brings it all to a close, which, obviously it's a lot because that's what Fleer and Ultra were doing at this time. But that is what they did for 1995 Ultra. And like I said, 96 Ultra, there is a lot of similarity. So that needs to be looked at very, very closely. So I'll do that, again, like I said, I'm going to do that later on. In the meantime, if you haven't checked out the other Ultra videos, I've done videos for all of the previous baseball Ultra sets. Definitely check that out. And if you haven't subscribed yet, take the time to do that. Check out my other videos, and thank you very much for watching.